Hi there, this is Vadim Michalenko, and in this video I'll share with you how to pass an employment assessment test. In this video, I will share with you sample questions we see on the tests. I will have some questions for you to try, and I'll show you tips, tricks, and hacks on how to get ready and pass the test. I will also share with you some additional test resources that might benefit you and might help you to get ready for the test quickly. And questions you are about to see in this video will help you to prepare and pass the interview for the following consulting companies: McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, Bain, Deloitte, Oliver, Booz Allen Hamilton, Ernst & Young, PwC, and a lot of others. There are different types of assessment tests that you might see as part of the hiring process. Let's take a look at the most common options that you might encounter. Most common tests that you see as part of the hiring process are aptitude test, psychometric test, numerical reasoning test, logical reasoning test, math reasoning tests, charts and graphs reasoning test, abstract reasoning test, and a lot of others. Sometimes companies also would like to test your technical knowledge based on the job that you're applying for. You might encounter Microsoft Excel test, Microsoft Word test, Outlook, PowerPoint, and a lot of other different tests that might be required for you to succeed on your job. When you're applying for a job with the consulting companies, employers typically look at communication skills. How well can you achieve goals? Commercial awareness, career motivation, planning and organizational skills, adaptability, problem solving, and a lot of other skills. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Vadim Michalenko, and I have MBA and master's degree in computer science. I have been helping people for more than 25 years to get hired and find jobs. I have founded HowToAnalyzeData.net website with only intent to help people get employment. This site helped a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure it will help you as well. When you're applying for a job with the consulting company, it typically takes between 3 to 4 weeks for up to 5 to 6 months to get hired. It takes longer during COVID-19 because a lot of people work remote. When you pass initial interviews, you might be presented with employment assessment test to validate your knowledge. If you pass the test, most likely you will be able to continue in the interview process. But if you fail it, you will not be able to proceed. In this video, I will share with you typical questions asked during the assessment test, as well as answers and explanations on how to answer those questions. My goal is that after watching of this video, you will be ready for the test. And now, let's go ahead and jump right to the questions. Now let's look at the tricky question which you frequently see as part of the test. If you take away a whole dollar from $159.24, how many cents are left? And you have 4 choices: 158.24, 15,824, choice C 59.24, and choice D 158. Which one do you think is right here? Let's see how we can answer this question correctly. The best way to answer it is to convert $1 into 100 cents, which means that $159.24 would be an equivalent of 15,924 cents. After taking $1 out of 15,924, we will get to 15,824 cents. So the correct choice here is B, 15,824. I'm pretty sure you nailed this question, but in case you have to practice more with similar questions from real tests, make sure to download my ebook with more practice questions using link in the description of this video. Now let's look at the very tricky question which is frequently used as part of a variety of different tests. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, the price of microwave oven has increased to $125, which represents a 25% increase of the original price. What was the original price of the microwave oven? You're presented with 4 different choices, and you have a table. Original price, which is a question mark here, this is something we need to calculate, price after increase, and price increase ratio. What do you think is the right choice here? Let's see if we can nail this question. Let's look at the formula which calculates the percentage increase. 125 minus original price divided by original price is equivalent of 0.25, which represents 25% increase. So what you can do, and this is one of the tricks to answer these types of questions, if you don't want to get into the business of getting and calculating through the formulas, you can just substitute the original price with different choices A, B, C, and D to see which one leads to the correct results. And once you do that, you'll find out that 100 is the correct choice here, because 125 minus 100 divided by 100 would be an equivalent of 0.25. So the correct choice is B, which is $100. I hope you've nailed this question. And now it's your turn. Please make sure to post your answer in the comment section below this video so I can give you the grade. Here's the question for you to answer. Below chart shows the number of companies that provide services to different sectors of the economy. What is the percentage of the companies that provide their services to both agriculture and chemical sectors? And you have four choices here: 40%, 22%, 30%, and 25%. Please make sure to post your answer in the comment section below this video so I can give you the grade. Now let's look at the question which you frequently see as part of different aptitude and psychometric tests. Which of these amounts is the largest? $1,247, $12, $13, $1,250. Let's see if you can get this one right. Seems like an obvious choice here, but sometimes people get confused because you see numbers in thousands and then you see numbers in just a single and double digits. So the correct answer here is $13. $13 is the largest amount here. Let's recap. $1 is 100 cents, which means that $12 is an equivalent of 1,200 cents, and $13 is an equivalent of 1,300 cents. So the correct choice here is C, which is $13. I'm pretty sure you've nailed this question, but if you haven't, please make sure to check out my ebook with similar questions, and the link to the ebook is in the description of this video. Now let's look at the very tricky question, which is frequently used as part of a variety of different tests. What is the ratio between Alice's and Bob's profit for the month of February? And you have a table here which lists 4 different months: January, February, March. You have Alice's profits and Bob's profits. And you have 4 choices for the ratios: 2 to 3, 2 to 5, 3 to 4, and 1 to 3. Which one do you think is right? Let's see how you can get to the right answer here. First, to get to the right answer, you need to identify Alice's and Bob's profit for the month of February, which is represented by amounts of $32 and $48. So the ratio of Alice's profits to Bob's profit is 32 to 48, which is an equivalent of 32 sixteenths to 48 sixteenths, which is an equivalent of 2 to 3. So the correct choice here is choice A, 2 to 3. I'm pretty sure you've nailed this question, but in case you need to practice more with similar questions from real tests, make sure to download my ebook with more practice questions using the description of this video link that's available there. Now let's look at the very tricky question, which is frequently used as part of a variety of different tests. Find the next value using the pattern, and you're presented with the patterns of values: 36, 49, 64, 81, and you need to find the next number. You have 4 choices: 121, 100, 96, and 144. What do you think is the right choice here? Let's see if we can nail the answer. If you look closely, you see that there is a square pattern here. 6 by 6 is 36, 7 by 7 is 49, 8 by 8, 64, 9 by 9 is 81. Can you guess the next one? 10 by 10 is an equivalent of 100. Let's recap. So this is the square number series. 64 is the square of 8, 81 is the square of 9, and therefore next number would be the square of 10. And square of 10 is 100. So the correct choice is B, 100. Hopefully your selection for the answer was correct, but in case you need to practice more with similar questions from the real tests, make sure to download my ebook with more practice questions using the link in the description of this video. And now it's your turn. Please make sure to post your answer in the comment section below this video so I can give you the grade. Here is the question for you to answer. You need to find the last number using the pattern: 2, 6, 12, 20, 30, 42, and then the missing number. And the choices are 60, 64, 52, or 56. Which one do you think is the right answer here? Please make sure to post your answer in the comment section below this video so I can give you the grade. And now let's look at the question which confused tons of people during the test. how many squares are in this picture? And you have choices of 16, 29, 30, and 32. Which one do you think is right? The confusion part of this question comes with the fact that squares are not only the small squares that's shown in the picture. So if you do only small squares, the answer would be 16. But you can have this area as a square, you can have this area as a square, and large area is also a square. So once you calculate all of those, you will get to the correct answer. And the correct answer is 30, because there are 16 small squares, 9 squares which would be created using 4 small squares, 4 squares which can be created using 9 small squares, and 1 big square. So that when we come out with the answer 30. So you kind of have to know how to calculate it a little bit, but this question we see a lot as part of numerical reasoning tests and psychometric tests. So I just want to make sure that you guys are prepared. Let's look at another tricky question. Which one of the 4 are the least like the other 3? And then we need to choose the correct answer. Tiger, cow, rabbit, or deer. Which one do you think is right? The tricky part of this question is that all of these animals are mammals. But there are 3 animals, cow, rabbit, and deer, that eat grass. And tiger is a predator. So the correct answer is A, which is tiger. So hopefully you've got this one right. It's a tricky one, and it tests your knowledge of exclusion, meaning that you need to read the test question correctly, and then you need to find out the correct choice. Hopefully you've got this one right. I'd like to ask you to participate in our daily Excel assessment test challenge. I post new question every day in the community tab of this channel and give you an opportunity to answer this and try it. And I post the answer in the comments next day. So please make sure to check it out and test your knowledge. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Now let's look at the very complex question which you see a lot during logical reasoning tests, psychometric tests, and the numerical reasoning tests. Find the correct shape to continue the series. And what we have here, we have 3 by 3 matrix with 8 shapes populated and 1 shape is missing. There are 4 choices as usual, but in order for you to calculate the right shape, you need to determine the pattern. And in fact, there are 2 patterns here on this screen. Can you figure it out? Do you know what the right answer is? As I mentioned, there are 2 patterns here. One is there is a pattern for the shape. Which shape would you choose? And second pattern is the pattern for the lines, and where is the right location for the line itself. Now let's go through the detection of the shape pattern first. So the shape pattern is triangle, square, and then the circle, right? So triangle, square, and the next one would be the circle. So we have a circle, that's the right value here, but all of this are the circles. So this was helpful, but not by much. But it just tells us that we are detecting the first pattern. And here, if you want to confirm, we have square, circle, and then triangle. Now, the most important part here is to determine on which side of the shape the lines should be located. And what we have here, we have 4 locations, as you can see in the answer. 1 location on the top, right, left, and bottom. So how would you know where's the right location for the circle shape? So let's look closely here and let's detect the pattern here for the line location. The line location starts with the bottom, right, and then top. So you see it's going counterclockwise. So if you imagine the clock with the clockwise rotation, then this would be counterclockwise. And let's see if we are correct and we have a pattern here. So we have bottom, right, top. Then we have left, bottom. So that still matches the counterclockwise pattern. And then we have left, bottom, right. So I think the missing shape here would be the one before the left, which would be on the top. So the right answer in this case would be A, because here we have a circle which matches the circle's pattern, and then we have lines located at the top. Let's verify to confirm that. And as you can see, the correct answer is A. So let's recap. There are 2 patterns you need to detect in this assignment. Patterns for the shapes and pattern for the line location. Shapes are displayed in the particular order. Triangle, square, circle, that's really the pattern for the shapes. And pattern for lines are in a counterclockwise order. So correct answer is A. Hopefully you've got this one right. You will see a lot of these types of questions in the assessment test. And now it's your turn. Please make sure to post your answer in the comment section below this video so I can give you the grade. Here's the question for you to answer. Find the missing value using the pattern. And you have pattern of numbers 1, 2, 2, 4, 8, value that's missing, and then 256. You need to choose one from the list. And the choices are 20, 32, 64, and 144. What do you think is the right answer here? Please make sure to post your answer in the comment section below this video so I can give you the grade. Let's look at the question, which is frequently used as part of numeric reasoning test and aptitude test. Find the correct shape to continue the series. And you're presented with the 3x3 box, which contains multiple shapes, and one shape is missing in one of the boxes. There are 4 choices. Can you detect which one is the correct one? Before I jump to the final answer, let me teach you how to detect patterns in these types of questions. There are 3 different patterns that we can see here. First pattern is pattern in the shapes. We have circle and triangle in the first row. We have square and triangle in the second row. And then we have square and circle in the third row. The second pattern here is the pattern of one shape inside of the other. So what you see here is that every row contains one shape inside of the other. In the first row, it's a triangle inside of the circle. In the second row, it's the triangle inside of the square. And the third one is missing this pattern, which tells us that it should be the pattern of one shape inside of the other, which is not a big help because all of the 4 choices here do contain the shapes, one shape inside of the other. But let's skip that comment and let's just jump to the third pattern. And the third pattern is the dot in the middle of the shape. So you see that every row contains at least one shape where dot is inside of the shapes that are one inside of the other. So knowing this information, we have choices A and D because we narrowed it down and recognized that we have to have a dot inside of the shape. Now, which one do you think is right? Knowing the first pattern, we can exclude choice A because in the third row, we have combination of squares and circles. So the correct choice is D because it matches all 3 patterns. We have circle inside of the square and then we have dot in the middle. So the correct answer is D. Hopefully you've got this one right. Can I ask you to do me a favor? If you know someone who is getting ready for interview or Excel assessment test, please share this video with them. This is going to help them pass and get their dream job. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. So here's the question, which is frequently used as part of numerical reasoning and logical reasoning tests. Find the next number of the below sequence. And you have series of numbers 30, 29, 27, 24, 20, 15, and you have a choices, 4 different choices, 10, 9, 11, and 8. Which one do you think is right? And how would you even approach answering something like this? The key to answer something like this in these types of questions in general is to detect the pattern. So you see the pattern here is you increase the number every time you go from one number to the next. 30 is 1 more than 29, and 27 is 2 more than 29. 24 is 3 more than 27, 20 is 4 more than 24, and 15 is 5 more than 20. So the next difference would be 6, and 15 minus 6 would be 9. Let's recap. So next number in the sequence is less than the current number. 29 is less than 30, 27 is 2 less than 29, and 24 is 3 less than 27. And you can continue the sequence once you detect it. And final number must be 6 less than 15, which is 9. So the correct answer is B, which is 9. Hopefully you've got this one right. Now let's look at the question. Find the missing value using the pattern. You see the 3x3 box, and one of the values in this box is missing. So what is the pattern? And there are 4 choices. We have A, B, C, and D, right? And obviously you would have to find the pattern and calculate the value. So what do you guys think is the right answer here? Before I reveal the right answer, let me try to discuss with you the pattern. So you see 1, 2, and 3, right? But then this one, 2, 4, and 6. So it's not sequential, so it's not like you go 1 plus 1 equals 2 plus 1 equals 3. There is a different type of pattern here. And the right pattern here is that 1 plus 2 equals 3, right? And then 2 plus 4 equals 6. And once you know the pattern, you can easily calculate that 3 plus 6 equals 9. So the right answer here is choice C. Let's validate. And you're absolutely right. The right choice is choice C, and this is exactly the logic that I just presented to you. Hopefully you've got this one right. Please make sure to check out available downloads in the description section of this video. All links to the downloads are available in the description of this video. Please make sure to consider ebooks and practice files, and also consider premium resources that helped other people to get prepared faster. Now let's look at another pattern type question. Which number should come next in the pattern? And then you have pattern of numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. So let's first determine what's the pattern here. Obviously there are 4 choices, but the result here is calculated based on the pattern that we would need to determine. Which one do you guys think is the right one here? Well, let's look. So we have 1, 1, and then 1 plus 1 equals 2. Then 1 plus 2 equals 3, then we have 2 plus 3 equals 5, and then you can kind of keep going. So to calculate the next number, it's basically the sum of the previous 2 numbers. So 8 plus 13 is 21. So the right choice here is choice B, which is 21. And this is the explanation, that the pattern here is really the sum of previous 2 numbers. Hopefully you've got this one right. Let's look at the question, which is frequently used when you're applying for the jobs with financial companies. Insurance company offers money if the vehicle is stolen, but the percentage of reimbursement is different based on a table. How much will customer get for the vehicle with fair market value of $2,000 in year 1, but was stolen in the 3rd year after insuring? You have a table, and it shows that percentage deduction in 1st year there is no deduction. After 1 year, there is a 10% deduction. After 2 years, 25%. And after 3 years, 40%. And you have 4 choices: $500, $1,000, $1,500, and $2,000. Which one do you think is right choice here? Let's look at how you would approach answering this question. After 2 years, you would have to deduct 25% of the original cost of the vehicle. 25% of $2,000 is $500. So 2,000 minus 500 that you would have to deduct would be 1,500 reimbursement that you can get from insurance company. Let's recap. The vehicle is stolen in the 3rd year after 2 years. Insurance company will deduct 25% of initial value, and 25% of initial value is $500. Company will deduct $500 and offer you $1,500. So the correct choice is answer C. Hopefully you've got this one right. But in case you need to practice more with similar questions, make sure to download my ebook with more practice questions using link in the description of this video. Can I ask you to do me a favor? If you like the content, please give this video a big thumbs up to tell us that you need more content like this. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Now let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of percentages and logical reasoning, and frequently used as part of math reasoning, abstract reasoning, numerical reasoning, and logical reasoning tests. If total budget for the state of Indiana is $31.4 billion, how much is planned to be spent on agriculture? And you have 4 choices: $12.24 billion, $7.3 billion, $6.32 billion, and $9.42 billion. And you have a chart which shows different percentages for different types of expenditures. Which one do you think is the right choice here? To get to the answer for this question, you need to understand what is the percentage of spend for agriculture. And based on the graph, the planned spend for agriculture is 30%. To calculate the budget for agriculture in actual US dollars, you need to multiply 31.4 by 0.3, which represents 30%. Whatever's correct answer based on this calculation would be the choice that you should select for this type of questions. Let's look and recap this question. Agriculture expenditures is 30% of the budget. To calculate total value for agriculture expenditures, you need to multiply 31.4 by 0.3, which is equivalent of $9.42 billion. So the correct choice here is answer D, which is $9.42 billion. I'm pretty sure you nailed this question, but in case you need more questions like this to practice, make sure to download my ebook with practice questions using the link in the description of this video. Let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of charts and graphs, logical reasoning, and math reasoning. During which period did the revenue for the company decline? And you have 4 periods: 2010 to 2012, 2011 to 2012, 2013 to 2014, and 2016 to 2018. And then you have a chart which represents revenues and costs. Which one do you think is the right answer here? Let's start by looking at the chart. Chart has 2 lines. One line is dark blue and another line is light blue. Dark blue line represents revenue and light blue line represents the cost. For the revenue, it almost always goes up, with the exception of the period between 2013 to 2014, which is represented right here on the graph. Let's recap. Company's profit is represented on the graph. During 2013 and 2014 period, the revenue was decreasing and the costs were going up. So the correct choice here is answer C, which represents the period of 2013 to 2014. Hopefully your selection for this answer was correct, but in case you need to practice more with similar questions, make sure to download my ebook with more practice questions like this using the link in the description of this video. Now let's look at the question which is very frequently used as part of aptitude tests when you're applying for the position in financial industry, especially in the banking and insurance industries. If €1 is worth 1.18 US, what is the exchange rate of converting US dollars to euros? You have 4 choices here: 0.83, 0.79, 0.78, and 0.84. How would you calculate this? Let's see if you can nail this question. To get to the correct answer, we need to reverse the exchange rate. If exchange rate for converting euros to dollars is 1.18, then exchange rate of converting dollars to euros must be 1 divided by 1.18, which is an equivalent of 0.847. So the correct answer here is D. I would imagine that you've answered this question correctly, but in case you need to practice more with similar questions, make sure to download my ebook with more practice questions using a link in the description of this video. A lot of you are interested and asking me, how can I help others? One of the ways you can help other people is by sharing the latest questions that you see on Excel interview and assessment test, and how you answered them. Please share the questions you recently encountered in the comment section of this video. If you know the answers, please share them as well. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of logical reasoning and how well you can apply this knowledge to charts and graphs. Review the graph in the picture and answer the question: during which period did the revenue of the company declines? There is a picture represented here with 2 lines, one blue line that shows revenue and then the orange line which shows the cost. The period is from 2013 to 2020, and you have 4 choices to select from: 2014 to 2015, 2019 to 2020, 2013 to 2014, and 2016 to 2017. Which one do you think is right? To answer this question correctly, you need to differentiate between revenue and the cost. Because revenue is represented by blue line, you have to follow the blue line to answer the question in which period revenue declines. If you follow the line, you see that for all the years, with the exception of period of 2014 to 2015, right here, the line goes up. And only for the period 2014 to 2015, revenue declines. So that is the correct choice and that is the correct answer. Now let's recap. The line graph shows the revenue and costs of a small company between the periods of 2014 and 2020. To estimate the changes, you need to find the spot on the line which goes down. Only place when line goes down is between the years of 2014 and 2015. Therefore, choice A, which shows 2014 to 2015, is the right answer for this question. Hopefully you got this one right. Let's look at the question which is frequently used as part of verbal reasoning, logical reasoning, abstract reasoning, and used as part of various aptitude tests. What will come at the place of question mark and you're presented with the series Z2, Y4, X8, W16, and then question mark. And you have four choices: V32, S32, V24, and then S24. Which one do you think is right? To answer this question, you need to try to detect the pattern. And there are two patterns here presented in this question. First pattern is the pattern of the alphabet in reverse order. So you have letters Z, Y, X, and W. X, Y, Z, W, X, Y, Z, those are the last letters of the English alphabet. So the letter before Y would be the letter that you need to put as the first character in the question mark. That's the first pattern. Then the second pattern is the pattern of numbers increasing. You have numbers increasing in the power of 2. 2, 4, 8, 16. So the next one here would be 32. So the correct answer here is V32. Let's recap. To answer this question, you need to follow two patterns. One pattern for the letters and second pattern for the numbers. The letters decrease by 1 and the numbers double each time. So the correct answer here is V32. Hopefully you've got this one right. Let's look at the question you might get as part of the interviewing with financial organizations. If exchange rate for US dollars is an equivalent of 0.62 euros, how many euros can you buy for $200? And there are four choices: 188 euros, 88 euros, 124 euros, and 176 euros. Which one do you think is right? A lot of times when answering this question, you may not have access to the calculator. So you may need to do the math in your head. To do the math in your head, the easiest way is to do it for $100. For $100, you'll be able to buy 62 euros. Then for $200, you'll be able to purchase double of that, which is 62 multiplied by 2, which equals 224. Let's recap. To answer this question, you need to multiply 200 by 0.62, which is an equivalent of 124. So choice D is the right answer. I'm pretty sure you nailed this question. Now let's look at the question which frequently used as part of logical reasoning tests. It tests your knowledge of math, abstract reasoning, and numerical reasoning. The pie chart shows the colors of cars which passed underneath of the bridge during a 1-hour period. A total of 510 cars passed under the bridge. The number of yellow cars is represented by an angle of 60 degrees on the graph. How many yellow cars passed under the bridge? You're presented with the graph which shows yellow segment, which we know is 60 degrees. And there are four choices: 75 cars, 65 cars, 95 cars, or 85 cars. What do you think is the correct answer here? To answer this question correctly, you need to understand the ratio between the entire circle, which has 360 degrees, and yellow portion of it, which represents the cars passed underneath of the bridge in 1-hour period. Because 60 is 1/6 of 360, it means that 1/6 of 510 cars passed under the bridge. We need to divide 510 by 6. 500 divided by 6 is 85. So the correct answer here is D, which is 85. Let's recap. We know that in the circle is the total of 360 degrees, and proportion of yellow cars can be expressed as 1/6 of 360. When we divide 510 by 6, we get 85, and 85 is the number of yellow cars passed under the bridge during 1-hour period. I'm pretty sure you've got this one correctly. And now let's look at the answer to the question, which is very frequently used as part of aptitude tests, math reasoning, abstract reasoning, and logical reasoning tests. The exchange rate for converting US dollars to Chinese yuans is 6.27. How much is 1,000 Chinese yuans are worth in US dollars? And you have four choices: 6,270, 627, 1,594, or $159.40. Which one do you think is the correct choice here? Let's see if you can nail this question. To get to the answer to this question, you need to reverse the exchange rate. Exchange rate of converting Chinese yuans to US dollars is 1 divided by 6.27, which is an equivalent of 0.1594, which means that the value of 1,000 of Chinese yuans in US dollars is equivalent of 0.1594 multiplied by 1,000, which is $159.40. So the correct choice is D. Hopefully your selection for this answer was correct. Now let's review assessment test question, which tests your knowledge of charts and graphs. Which of the following options represent the largest price increase in a single month? You're presented with the graph, which contains 3 different lines. One for tulips, another one for orchids, and the third one is for roses. You have 4 choices. Tulips from January to February. Choice B, tulip from March to April. Choice C, orchid from April to May. And choice D, roses from February to March. Which one do you think is the correct answer? To answer this question correctly, you need to look at the segments of this graph. Segment that goes from months to months represents either price increase or price decrease. The largest segment that represents one single month's largest price increase would be on the blue line from April to May. Blue line represents orchids. And let's go to the choice. So the right answer here is choice C, orchids from April to May. Based on the graph shown, there are different price increases here. Price of the tulip, for example, increased by about $5 from January to February, and another $5 from March to April. But orchid's price, which represented by blue line, increased from April to May by nearly $10, which represents the largest price increase. I'm pretty sure you nailed this question. This was rather easy, but you see a lot of these types of questions on assessment test. Now let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of charts and graphs, math reasoning, and logical reasoning. Approximately, what percentage of jewelry sales in October were bracelets? And you're presented with the graph, which has 4 sections. Each section has 2 bars. Each bar represents monthly sales. Blue bar represents April sales for different types of jewelry. And orange bar represents October sales for the same jewelry. For example, for bracelets, April sales are approximately 125 items, versus October sales are approximately 80 items. You have 4 choices to answer this question. Around 11%, choice B around 18%, around 25%, or around 40%. So how would you approach this question? Which one do you think is the right answer? To answer this question, you need to add up all jewelry sales for October and then understand what percentage of those were bracelets. For example, for earrings, the value is about 125. Same thing for necklaces. For rings, it's about 110, and for bracelets, it's about 80. Let's add up all these values in the calculator. The total number for October sales of jewelry is 440 items. Now we need to divide 80, which are the bracelet sales, by 440 and multiply by 100. The answer is about 18, which means that sales of bracelets are about 18% for October. Let's recap. Based on the bar graph, sales of bracelets are represented by the red bar. We do not have precise figures for the sales, so we need to approximate the numbers. Based on the graph, the approximate number of items sold in October are about 125 earrings, about 125 necklaces, and about 110 rings, plus about 80 bracelets. Total of 440 items. To calculate the percentage of bracelets sold, we need to divide 80 by 440 and multiply by 100. The number of bracelets sold in October represented by about 18%. Hopefully you've got this one correctly, as this question involved a lot of calculations. One of the things you can ask test provider is whether you can use the calculator during the test. Please make sure to ask them before the test. If calculator is allowed, please make sure to refresh your knowledge on all the functions so you don't struggle during the test. And now let's continue and get you ready for the interview and assessment test. Let's look at the assessment test question you might get as part of the aptitude test when you're applying for managerial positions or position with financial institutions. Below table shows exchange rates in British pounds. How many more Hong Kong dollars could you buy with 1,000 British pounds in 2019 compared to 2020? And there are four choices: 170, 180, 150, and 160. What do you think is the correct answer here? Let's take a look. To answer these types of questions, you need to understand the data that's being provided. In this data, the source and the base currency is British pounds. So the conversion rates here are for British pounds. Hong Kong dollars, you could buy with 1 British pounds, you can buy 10.11 in 2019, and you can buy 9.95 in 2020. The first step to solve this type of problems is that we need to understand the difference between the value of Hong Kong dollars in 2019 and 2020. And for that, we need to subtract 9.95 from 10.11. After we subtract, we get the value of 0.16, which represents the difference between the Hong Kong dollar conversion rates for 2019 and 2020. But the question asks us to calculate the difference for 1,000 pounds. So the next step, we need to multiply this value by 1,000. And once we're done with multiplication, we'll get to a value of 160 Hong Kong dollars. So the answer is, you can buy 160 more Hong Kong dollars in 2019 than you could buy them in 2020. Let's look at the alternative way to do it. You can calculate the total cost of buying Hong Kong dollars in 2019 by multiplying 1,000 by 1011, and then calculate the same value for 2020 when you multiply 1,000 by 9.95. And then you calculate the difference, which would be an equivalent of 160 Hong Kong dollars. Hopefully you've got this one right. Let's look at the question, which is very frequently used as part of various aptitude tests. You could see it as part of math reasoning, abstract reasoning, numerical reasoning, and a lot of other tests. If the family spends a total of $60,000 in 2020, approximately how much of this was spent on food? You have a pie chart that you can see with the percentages of spending, and you have different spending categories. And there are four choices as usual: $7,800, $9,000, $10,200, or $12,600. Which one do you think is the right choice? To answer this question, you have to analyze the pie chart. And pie chart represents food as the gray color. And gray color has a 13% of the entire circle, which means that 30% out of $60,000 was spent on food in 2020. To calculate the actual amount, you need to multiply 0.13 by $60,000. And the answer is $7,800 was spent on food in 2020. Let's recap. The pie chart gives you the percentage of family's budget that was spent in 6 different categories. Notice that food takes 13% of the budget. Therefore, if you multiply 0.13 by 60,000, you will get $7,800. And that is choice A. Hopefully you've got this one right. Now let's look at the tricky question, which is frequently used as part of math reasoning and abstract reasoning tests. There are 28 women and 21 men attending online webinar. What is the ratio of women to the total number of people? And there are 4 choices: 4:7, 4:3, 5:7, and 28:21. Which one do you think is the right answer? The tricky part about this question is that there are choices B and D, which represent the ratio of women to men. But this is not what needs to be calculated here, because ratio of women to total number of people need to be captured. Let's look at the correct answer. Total ratio of women to men is 4:3, but the ratio of women to total number of people is 4:7, which represented by 28:49, and 49 is calculated as the sum of all people, 28 women and 21 men. So the correct answer is A, 4:7. I'm pretty sure you nailed this question. Let's look at the assessment test question, which is frequently used as part of abstract reasoning, numerical reasoning, and logical reasoning tests. Emily buys a car for $9,000 and sells it for $12,000. Calculate approximate profit Emily has made in this transaction.
54% is the choice A, 40% choice B, choice C is 30%, and choice D is 44%. Which one do you think is the right answer here? First, to answer the question here, you need to calculate the actual profit. And the profit is $12,000 minus $9,000, which is equal to $3,000. Then you need to calculate the profit percentage, which is calculated by $3,000 divided by $9,000, because $9,000 is the original price. And the value here that you will get would be 30%. So choice C is correct. Let's recap. Original price for the vehicle was $9,000. Sale price was $12,000. Profit is $3,000 and is calculated as $12,000 minus $9,000. The profit is calculated as $3,000 divided by $9,000 and multiplied by 100 and is equivalent of 30%. So choice C is correct. Did you get this one right? Please share in the description of this video if you got this one correctly. Let's look at the question, which is frequently used to test your knowledge of charts and graphs, and frequently used as part of math reasoning, logical reasoning, and also numerical reasoning tests. How much is spent on transportation if the total budget is $70,000? You have four choices as usual: $10,000, $11,200, $11,500, and $13,500. You also presented with the graph on which transportation is 16% of the entire budget. Which one do you think is the right choice here? To calculate the transportation budget, you need to get 16% of $70,000. Ultimately, you need to multiply 70,000 by 0.16. So let's look at the answer. Because percentage of transportation is 16%, the correct answer is $11,200, which is calculated as 16 divided by 100, which gets you 0.16 multiplied by $70,000. So the correct choice is $11,200, which is choice B. Hopefully you've got this one right. Why you might consider subscribing to this channel. This is one of the fastest way to learn and get prepared for Excel assessment test. Skills you learn are helpful today and in the future. You get answers to your questions. You have opportunity to help other people. And you have experienced professionals who already subscribe to this channel and ready to help you with any answers that you need. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Let's look at the question which you might get when applying for banking positions, insurance companies positions, or any other position within financial industry. What is the profit in US dollars at the end of week 4 if a buyer buys 100 pounds in week 1 and converts back to US dollars in week 4? You have 4 different choices presented, A, B, C, and D, and then you have a table, conversion rate between pounds and dollars for 4 weeks. In week 1, the conversion rate is 1.29, and in week 4, the conversion rate is 1.3132. Which one do you think is the right answer here? To get to the right answer, you need to calculate the values, the total sum of US dollars in week 1, and then you need to convert it back to US dollars in week 4. Ultimately, week 2 and week 3 values are irrelevant here because you're holding through weeks 2 and week 3. And this is how you do the calculation. In week 1, you need 129 US dollars to buy 100 pounds. And value of 100 pounds in week 4 is $131.32. So the profit will be calculated as the difference between 131.32 and 129.8 and would be equivalent of $1.52. So the correct answer is C here. I hope you've got this one right, but in case you need to practice more, make sure to download my ebook with more practice questions using the link in the description of this video. Now let's look at the reasoning question where you need to complete the sentence. Read below sentence and give the correct answer. Book is to reading as fork is to, and then you need to pick one of the 4 choices: painting, writing, eating, and lifting. So what do you think is the right choice? I think it's pretty obvious here. But let's look at the right answer. So the correct answer is obviously eating, right? Because book is to reading. This is an activity associated with reading. As fork is to eating. You use fork during the meal consumption. So the correct choice is C. And that's because forks are used during dining and meal consumption. Hopefully you've got this one right. Now let's look at the question where you tested not just how well you know English, but also how well can you operate with the letters and take guesses based on the questions asked. A lot of times this types of questions used in the verbal reasoning tests and in a lot of other tests as well. For example, psychometric tests or logic reasoning tests. These types of questions we see all the time. So the question, which of the following can be arranged to a 5-letter English word? And there are 4 choices with 5 letters of the words, and you kind of would need to look at each choice and you would need to take a guess which one would be the one which leads to a specific English word. And obviously nobody gives you the English word, so you would have to take a guess on the word and combine these letters so they will be represented by the specific English word. So which one do you think is the right choice? A couple suggestions here. You see choice A has inside of these letters English word goat. So typically it's the wrong choice because typically you wouldn't be able to easily rearrange this word into something else. Typically, and again it's only typically, but you would want to start with the letter somewhere in the middle. And the right choice here is choice B, and it's the word shape. That's really the word, that the end result of it. You don't have a way of knowing, right, because you don't know what the end word is. So you would have to look realistically at all the different choices and see if you can combine them. But I would start with the middle letter because typically they try to trick you, and first letter is typically not the one that starts this new word. So find more exercises like this. This one was tricky. This one was difficult. Very few people guess it right. But it takes practice to get these types of questions correctly. So make sure Google or find on the internet these types of verbal reasoning questions and see if you can get better at this. So let's look at another tricky question. What number is the best match? And we have 8 to 4 would be 10 to question mark. So what do you think is the right one here? Let's look at the answer. The best answer here is 4 is the half of 8. So the question mark would be half of 10. And in that case, half of 10 is 5. So that's the number you should choose. Now, the tricky part of this question, some people may mistakenly select 20, which would be double of 10. So make sure you recognize this and don't make this mistake. Hopefully you've got this one right. Now let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of working with shapes, patterns, and numbers. Select an arrow which logically belongs in the rectangle with the question mark. Here on the screen, you see 3 by 3 box. Each row of the box and each column of the box has arrows. One arrow is missing. Which arrow do you think is missing? The key here is to identify the pattern. Each row and each column contains unique arrows. In the first row, we have arrow pointing to the right, upper right, and then to the upper left. Then upper left, right, and upper right. So here we have upper right, and then we have arrow pointing to the upper left, and what's missing is the arrow pointing to the right. And that would be the right answer. And the arrow pointing to the right would be choice A. And this is the explanation. So each row has 3 arrows. All 3 arrows are directed to 3 directions, and they are unique. According to the pattern, correct answer is A, because arrow which is directed to the right is missing in the 3rd row. Hopefully you've got this one right. So can you tell us how many questions did you answer correctly? Please post in the comments of this video to share with others. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Now let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of numerical reasoning. A girl starts to run at the speed of 5 miles per hour. After 1 hour, a boy starts to run at 10 mile per hour speed from the same location and going in the same direction. How long will it take for the boy to catch up with the girl? And we have 4 choices here: 1 hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1.5 hours. What do you think is the right choice? The correct answer here is A, 1 hour. And here's the reasoning. Boy has twice of the girl's speed, and for boy it will only take half the time to run the same distance compared to the girl. After an hour, girl already ran for 5 miles, and she will run another 5 miles in the next hour. Boy, on the other hand, will run 10 miles an hour. Girl will run 10 miles in 2 hours, and for the boy, it will take only 1 hour to run 10 miles. So boy will reach the girl in 1 hour. Hopefully you've got this one right. Here's another tricky question which can confuse you easily during the test. Bob is 6 years old, and his sister is a half of his age. When Bob is 30, what would be the age of his sister? And there are 4 choices: 20, 15, 25, and 27. Which one do you think is right? And obviously, as you might have figured out, the correct answer is D, 27. Bob's sister is 3 when Bob is 6, and Bob becomes 30 after 24 years. And that's why his sister must be 27 years old. Another way to look at it, there is a 3-year difference. When Bob is 30, his sister would be 30 minus 3, which would be 27. Hopefully you've got this one right. Here's the question which tests your knowledge of working with negative numbers. Calculate minus 100 plus 45. Here, keep in mind that minus 100 is very tricky. Some people just don't see this minus sign right before the 100. And there are 4 choices: minus 145, 145, minus 55, and then 55. So what do you think is the right answer? And obviously the correct answer is C, which is minus 55. And the way we calculate this equation is we can move minus 100 after 45. So the new equation might look like this: 45 minus 100, which would be exactly minus 55. Hopefully you've got this one correctly as well. And now let's look at the question which is frequently used as part of numerical reasoning tests. What is the number that is 1/2 of 1/4 of 1/10 of 800? And there are 4 choices: 20, 12, 5, and 10. How would you answer something like this? Let's go ahead and take a look. To answer this question, you need to do operations in reverse. So 1/10 of 800 is 80, and then 1/4 of 80 is 20, and 1/2 of 20 is 10. So the correct answer is D, 10. And let's recap. This is the explanation. To get to this answer, you need to go in reverse. 1/10 of 800 is 80, 1/4 of 80 is 20, and 1/2 of 20 is 10. So the correct answer is D. Hopefully you've got this one right. Now let's look at the question which is frequently used as part of verbal reasoning, aptitude test, and psychometric tests. If you rearrange the letters CIF, AIP, C, you would have the name of and there are 4 choices: country, city, ocean, and river. So the tricky part of this question is that these are not the final answers. You can't rearrange this set of letters to get to the country. You can't rearrange it to get to the ocean letter or to any one of these letters. It is country name that would be a result of this rearrangement, or ocean name that would be, or city name or river name. So let's see if you can get this one correctly. Unfortunately, there is no easy way to prepare yourself for these types of questions. And the correct answer here is Pacific. So the answer is Pacific Ocean, right? But there's no way for you to know this. You probably heard the term of Pacific Ocean, but the best practice to answer these types of questions would be to go and start with the smallest one, and smallest one would be ocean. There are only very few oceans, and you're probably much better off starting and going and counting through all these oceans that are available. And one of those oceans would be Pacific Ocean. Because if you start to go with city, river, and country, there are too many countries, too many cities, and too many rivers, and the expectation is that you would not know all of this, and you can't answer. So that's the best way to come to these questions: identify what is the smallest number of items that's on the list, and then loop through these items to identify the right one. So going back, is Pacific Ocean is the answer. And hopefully you will have the tips and tricks to get these types of questions correctly. A lot of people ask, how can I help on this channel? One of the best ways to help is to help other people answer the questions that they're getting. If you know the answer to the question that you see in comments, please post the answer in the comment section of this video. And now let's continue and get you ready for the test. Let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of logical reasoning, which is very frequently used as part of psychometric tests and aptitude tests. Which of the four is least like the other three? And you have four choices: car, bus, bicycle, and van. Multiple different options here. You can arrange all these items by size, by weight, or maybe by something else. Do you think you know the answer? And as you might have figured out, the correct answer is C, which is bicycle, because all of these four choices are vehicles, but three of them need fuel. So answer is the bicycle, which doesn't need fuel, which is not like all of the others. Hopefully you got this one right. So here is the tricky question, which is frequently used as part of logical reasoning tests in numerical reasoning tests. The day after tomorrow is 4 days before Monday. What day is it today? And you have four choices: Sunday, Monday, Friday, and Saturday. And the reason I'm laughing is because this tells me that you always should come to those types of tests after a very good night's sleep and try to schedule them in the morning. That's the best advice I can give you. Because sometimes if you come to this type of test tired, you wouldn't even understand what they're asking you to do. So, do you have an idea how to answer this? Let's take a look at the answer. Again, most of the time you have to use reverse method to get to the right answer. And the reverse method tells us that 4 days before Monday is Thursday, and day before Thursday is Tuesday. If tomorrow is Tuesday, today is Monday. So the correct answer is B, Monday. Hopefully you've got this one right.
Thanks for watching. I encourage you to check out our daily question challenge in the community section of this channel. I also recommend that you check downloads in the description section of this video. Please also check out resources page on our website, howtoanalyzedata.net/resources. If you like the content, please give this video a big thumbs up. This tells us that you need more content like this. I would encourage you to share this video with other people that might be looking for the job. This will help them to get prepared and pass assessment tests faster. Please consider subscribing and following this channel. We have a community of great people helping each other to get ready and pass the test. Please leave questions, comments, or suggestions in the comment section of this video. And all the best on your interview and assessment test. Thanks for watching.